Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B Live, the Money Man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Kool, a.k.a. the HOC, and this is episode number 101 of the Sports Bros Podcast. That's right, we got a 100 out the way, and now we're going to give you another 100 more. But of course, you know I cannot do this by myself. But before I go any further, I want to thank everybody that's been riding with us through this journey. We greatly appreciate it. We appreciate this so much, because if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be here talking sports. But time to get back on track, or as the words of Almighty B Live say, Amtrak this thing, and I will. Speaking of the devil, introducing first the Almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? We are in the midst of madness, and it's been absolute, utter madness. Crazy, unbelievable. I'm so excited and devastated all at the same time. But it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right, because I'm not the only one suffering through this whole bracketology thing, but I'm suffering less than others. And speaking of others, there's this other guy on the podcast that we got to introduce every week. Yeah, sure.
Oh, man, and speaking of that other guy, the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, a.k.a. Mr. Eye Candy himself, none other than the Money Man, Scottie D.
Thank God it's episode 101, because 100 was a disaster. I went off on Jim Boeheim, and he's in the Sweet 16. I lost Purdue. I lost Illinois. I lost whoever my other team was. Who was my other team? Texas. I got Gonzaga. So, yeah, I'm one of those guys suffering. I should never have talked so much trash on Jim Boeheim last week. It's coming back to haunt me.
But it was fun.
And what is going on with the Big Ten? Let's just get into this stuff. Eddy Kool, let's drop right on into the big topics of the day, shall we?
All right, we're going to go to the big topics of the day, but before we're going to get to the madness, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, we will get to the madness. But first, the new league year started for the NFL this past week, and guess what? All those trades, like the Jared Goff trade and the Matt Stafford trade, yep, that's official. And any other trades, they're official too. And this is the beginning of the free agency period, or the frenzy, if you will. The New England Patriots, some of the notable signings that they got: Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Matthew Judon, and 1,000 more people. And then the Giants, they signed wide receiver Kenny Golladay, which means he's finally free from Detroit. And AJ Green signs with the Arizona Cardinals. And of course, fellas, I have a question, as I always do. Which team will make an impact with the new signees? Not just the ones I mentioned, but the other teams that you've seen making big moves during the offseason. Scottie D, where you at on this?
You know, I actually think that the AJ Green thing is a sneaky big deal. I think it's a really good deal, because that's given Kyler Murray another big target. AJ Green's a big guy, big target, and he kind of lost his way, it seemed, the last couple of years in Cincinnati. A little bit of injury problems, but now he doesn't have to be the guy out there, which he has been in Cincinnati, because they got D-Hop out there. I think that is a nice signing for the Cardinals. I think the Kenny Golladay signing is pretty good for the Giants, but I think that AJ Green thing's a pretty big deal for the Cardinals.
What you think, B Live?
Me, I like what's going on, and you're gonna hear this, and it's gonna blow your mind, because it just doesn't make any sense. But I'm being unbiased right now. I like what's going on in New England. They are making a lot of moves. They're shaking it up, shaking up the foundation. They got a couple weapons for Cam Newton. I think that is they're making some noise. And but before we continue, let me make sure I got this correct because I just heard Scottie D just completely just change his whole tone about the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. You just saying just a week or two ago that you don't believe in Kyler Murray is too short. Now they're making moves and now gives them another weapon and da da da. Which one is it, Scottie D? Let me know what's going on. What's happening with you?
I think it's a big deal for him because he is a short dude that needs a bigger target. I mean, he's running around like a little jackrabbit back there, and now he has another big-time weapon to throw to. He can get it out there and get it up to A.J. Green. I think that's good for him because I don't think he's the prototypical NFL quarterback that can stand in the pocket and go through his reads. I think this helps him a lot, honestly.
Oh, and
backtracking, I still don't think he's that great of a quarterback. He's good, but I said what I said. Go on with your bad self-laugh.
He said what he said. I like it. But yeah, New England. I'm definitely the Cardinals. I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't believe in the New York Giants. I just don't. Danny Dimes did some magic his first year, but his second year, as compared to his first year, was. And they really maybe with a healthy Saquon Barkley, maybe Kenny Golladay is a big sign. They also splashed the bank with a cornerback signing today. What was my man's name? Those Adery.
Somebody so important that you don't know his name.
I don't know. It was 3 years, $39 million for a cornerback.
A corner, yeah. He was one of the bigger corners on the market.
So the Giants are trying to make a couple of moves. We'll see what Danny Dimes does in year 3. I don't believe in him. I just don't believe in the Giants ever because they're in the NFC least, so it won't be too hard for them to be in first place considering the other teams that are there.
Oh,
poking that bear, I see. Poking that bear, I see.
Yes.
I'm wearing penguin stuff to get you off me on that topic for today. It's not working.
No, not at all. Just got to do it. But here's one other thing that I'm sort of just out there with. My beloved Carolina Panthers. They've signed a couple offensive linemen. They signed a linebacker, but they're still making a play for one Deshaun Watson, and
no.
Hot potato, baby, hot potato. If I was Houston, I'd take whatever deal you offer me for Deshaun Watson right now.
Yep, and
hot potato, baby. That situation's hot right now because no matter what, there's like a dozen girls now coming forward with accusations against this dude. At this point, it doesn't matter if he gets found not guilty 12 times legally. I mean, these aren't even criminal charges. It's all civil charges at this point. It doesn't matter because Roger Goodell sat down Zeke Elliott for 5 games for stuff that happened before he was even in the NFL because of the behavioral thing. He sat down Roethlisberger over accusations. Deshaun Watson's going to be sitting at some point. This is not a good time to be Deshaun Watson.
You know what, fellas? Here's my thing. I've the past few days I've been thinking about this whole Deshaun Watson situation, and here's what I've come up with. Believe it or not, I think, and call me crazy, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but when it smells like a pile of doo-doo, something just don't sit right. I think this is an act by the Houston Texans to sabotage the value of Deshaun Watson. It's the classic case of, hey, if we can't have you, nobody else will have you. And that's not good. And I don't see the good coming out of this, man. It's just a whole lot going on, and it's just a messy situation. I just don't understand it. Like, I don't. And from the way the Texans have been moving the past few years, DeAndre Hopkins, he gone. Now you have JJ Watt. They released him. They didn't re-sign Will Fuller, who's got to sit down due to a PED suspension for the first 4 games of the season, but he got signed by the Dolphins, so now it's their problem. So I don't know what the hell's going on in Houston, man. It's a crumble fest down there. I just don't like it, but I got a feeling that this might be an effort by the organization to sully his value. I always thought that, hey, if you don't want to be here, then let me help you get up out of here. Let me not, force you to stay. But it's kind of like, hey, we're going to force you to stay situation, and we're going to push you through the ringer. Hell or high water, opening day, you will be number 4 for the Houston Texans. And that's crazy, fellas. Crazy.
I'm going to say this. And I refuse to give this boneheaded lawyer any type of press on this podcast. I'm not going to mention his name, but he should be thrown in jail, and his freaking license should be stripped and revoked. He should never be able to practice law again, because all of this is unmerited. Not one criminal case, all civil, based off of what? Hearsay? Literal hearsay. There's absolutely no facts. There's no evidence. It's just hearsay. And the fact that this guy has been given so much press and so much time is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. Like, in the fact that you can sleep at night just trying to find a way to get your name out there, and hard-earned money. Like, you know what, bro? This is who announces a civil case on Instagram? when do they do? Who does business like that?
Where they do that at?
I'm just like, I get there's certain platforms that, like us here, the Sports Bros Podcast, we have an Instagram page, and we do conduct business on Instagram, because that's something completely different. We're actually getting sports out there, and every now and again I might come up with a funny meme, you know what I'm saying? Hashtag BeLive memes, you know what I'm saying? That's what we do. What happened memes, I got a couple of hashtags out there, but that's because we're a sports production company. We give out videos, pictures, and stuff like that. That's how we conduct business. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You're a lawyer.
Do better, baby. You gotta do better.
Just unbelievable. That's why this has absolutely no merit. Scottie D, I will be so done almost to the point with the NFL if they. I get what you're saying when it comes to Zeke and what he went through and a couple other players and whatnot, but there is no merit to this. And I hope at the end of the day that all comes out in the wash. And here's the thing. I'm going to tell you right now, if Deshaun Watson is guilty of any of these things, hey, punish him. Absolutely. But just off of hearsay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I want this stuff to be, BS, but I mean, I have no idea if it is or is not. I mean, it seems like we have to find a lot more out before being able to pass judgment one way or the other. This is tough, because suddenly it's like there's first one comes out and he says, I'm not gonna settle. I'm not gonna settle out of court for this. I want to clear my name. And then there's 11 more right behind her. That's, I don't know, man. That's
what, you know what? I'm going to say, the latest article I read, it was a claim from actually this month, where one girl said that she's never massaged before and thought this, what do you mean you've never massaged before, but you know what? Wow. Wow.
Yeah, this is a crazy story, man. There's a lot. There's a lot more to unpack on that story.
So it sounds like we're just like this. If this girl's saying that's not happening, so now we're just grabbing at straws. But fellas, before we get too carried away in this whole Deshaun Watson and NFL mess, and the words of the Almighty be like, I'm gonna take the train and toss it back on the track. But guess what? We're here to talk about the madness that is March Madness and this here tournament. Fellas, we start off with the playing games. We went from 68 on to 64, and we got some games going on right now in the field of 32. And next thing you know, it'll be the Sweet 16 of these here NCAA tournament. I don't want to call it the playoffs, but you get it. The big dance, March Madness. And the question that I pose to you fellas, what are your thoughts on the tournament this far? I'll start with you first, Be Live.
This tournament right here could easily go down as one of the greatest in history, just because of how much we've had to endure. And the past year, all of us, our entire lives have been tossed upside down. And like all the factors that go into play, like kudos to the NCAA, and you'll never ever hear me say that again because I think it's a trash organization. But kudos to them for at least organizing March Madness and in one city, bubble, etc. So all the things that they finally got right in this life. Because I was really getting to the point of what is the purpose of the NCAA, but everything that's going on, and I love I love more than anything that these double-digit ranked teams and everything, like some of the storylines. Abilene Christian, Oral Roberts, 15 seed, is now in the Sweet 16. Oregon State is in the Sweet 16. Syracuse is in the Sweet 16. Let me say it one more time just to poke the bear. Syracuse, the Orange, are in the Sweet 16. UCLA they played an extra game in the Sweet 16 as an 11 seed. It is a wonderful, 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 wonderful day in basketball. And it's a horrible day for brackets.
Yeah.
Horrible, but dang. And I'm gonna update everybody in a little bit. I want to hear what Scottie D has to say about this tournament, and I'm gonna update everybody on the Sports Bros madness that those.
No, you don't have to do that.
Yes, I do.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Yes, I do. Yep. I got to do it.
Yeah, you got the doing. You got the doing.
I don't think our listeners will be interested in that this year, but to me, I'm wondering what the heck is going on with the Big Ten, and it actually, the Pac-12 is one that's coming out looking good here, and you got to start with the actual first game with UCLA knocking out Michigan State just to be officially into that first round. I heard Jay Billis say on the Four Letter Network on Monday morning that it was up to Iowa to carry the flag for the Big Ten, and they got smoked by Oregon on Monday afternoon. I mean, it is not going well for the Big Ten.
I had Iowa winning it all in one of my brackets in a championship game in the other bracket. And that is just, oh my God. 3 of their starters scored 0 points against Oregon. 0. Their starters, 3. You have 5 starters. 3 of them scored 0. Luka Garza can't do it all. Iowa, oh my God.
What did he score, 36?
36.
Yeah,
good
36
Lord.
points. Yeah, killed it.
But let me say this, because this is the one caveat about this year's March Madness. Oregon had a bye week.
They did.
Oregon had one less game to play when they went against number 2 ranked Iowa. And I'm sticking to it like it really matters how much I can actually talk about it. But then again, my bracket is still looking better than some of the other people in Sports Bros Madness. I'm currently sitting in first place where Eddy Kool's in second, tied for fourth, because I'm also tied for second with my second bracket, but that was the one I had our winning, so I'm just going to throw that away because it's horrible. Rodney and the Money Man, they're tied for fourth. Terrible Pete Talansky is in sixth place. And then you have Scotty Heineman and Mr. Marcus 81 tied for seventh. Mr. Marcus 81 had North Carolina winning it all, and they lost in the first round. Yeah. But that is your updated.
How about Georgetown? You were really big on them last week.
That's not necessary.
How are they doing? Last week you were talking about them being your big sleeper and how well they were doing, riding the momentum from the Big East, and you are what you're not going to do is disrespect Patrick Ewing. I didn't see what happened with Georgetown, so give me an update on how that was going.
Yeah, they lost by 20, gave up 90 plus points. They played absolutely no defense. But hey, I did pick Abilene Christian to win in the first round. Yes, I did. Number 14 seed in the middle of BFE, Texas. I tell you, you try to point out Abilene on a map, I bet you can't find it. But
is it in Houston?
Not even close.
Oh,
it's literally almost like dead center. It's off of I-20. It's 150 miles west of Fort Worth, Texas.
Off of I-20, just like he was just cruising up that highway the other day. Listen to you.
Hey, Wikipedia is something else. I'm trying to. Hey, you got to do your research.
You know where it is. It's right off I-20. Just out by Fort Worth area.
Yeah, just over there somewhere about a DFW.
But you got to think of it this way. They got to think of it this way. At least like it's Oral Roberts is representing Oklahoma because Oklahoma ain't representing Oklahoma. Oral Roberts is located in Tulsa, Oklahoma, by the way, just to let you know. I see you got to do your research when you come for them. But man, I really like, then of course, another great story, Loyola Chicago. What the I can't remember her name. What, she's like 100
Sister Jean or something?
Yeah. Like 104 years old, made the trip to Indianapolis with the team, and just wow, just stories like that. That's what makes it madness and makes it absolutely beautiful.
It makes it fun. Yeah, it makes it fun, man. Those are the kind of things that make this tournament fantastic. I always say this is the best sporting event going, and it's living up to it this year, man. It is, despite the limited amount of fans. I think it's like families in the stands, which is nice because you still have some of the live crowd reactions, and they're pulling for each other. I like that, man. It's making it nice to have at least some people up there rooting for him. But yeah, man, I mean, we're seeing a lot of underdogs. We'll see how it shakes out in the second weekend, because I've said this before, underdogs winning doesn't always translate to a good, deep part of the tournament. It's fun to watch an underdog win early, but then, sometimes they run out of steam and you get bad basketball going forward. But there's still some big teams left in it. As we're recording, Michigan has crawled out of the hole and have a 1-point lead over LSU at halftime. That's like the Big Ten's big hope right now is Michigan. But Gonzaga has looked good in their couple games. I mean, everyone and their mother was picking them to win it. And I said last week, I didn't see enough Gonzaga this year to say that's a bad choice. So I picked them. I just went with it. And what I've seen is a dude with a crazy mustache and a really good team.
Yeah, Gonzaga's a really good team, man. Because I think from what somebody told me, they like during the season they've averaged 90 points a game. They've literally been blowing people out of the gym all year long. And if this is the year for the Zags, then this needs to be the year. No excuses. You over here blowing people out the gym, scoring 90 points a game. Because think about it, you only have 2 halves in college basketball, the first half and the second half. And if you're over here scoring 90 points, then there should be no reason that why you should not win the whole damn thing. But yeah, Loyola Chicago, that's another great story as well. Cameron Krutwig. Yes, Cameron Krutwig. He looks like Walter from the WWE. Yeah, with a mustache and a flat top. And I watched them earlier this year. Was it during their conference tournament or whatever it was? And they played Drake. I think Drake had like lost one game at that point. And they gave Drake all they can handle. That is a very tough. They play fundamentally sound team basketball. And I think, as we said like last week, that gap between the major colleges and the mid majors is really slowly. I mean, if you ask me, each year it's just starting to shrink more and more and more. Think about it.
No question.
They beat the number 1 seed Illinois yesterday. Yeah, and they played Illinois tough the entire game. I watched the entire game. They played them tough the entire game. Illinois didn't know what to do. Their 2 studs, it took them forever to get started, and when they got started, it was a little too late. But yeah, they might make a run. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in the Elite Eight. Would not be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised.
Nothing surprises me at this point. Nothing would surprise me.
I'm gonna go ahead and apologize on the air real quick because I did not believe in Gonzaga. I did not believe in the West Coast Conference. I really couldn't name a second team in the West Coast Conference. Maybe San Diego State. Maybe, I'm not sure. But the 2 games I've seen Gonzaga play in this tournament, they have made short, quick work. It has not been close. And as the other big teams fall, Gonzaga just might do it. We still got plenty of basketball to go. It's madness, baby. Yes, sir.
It is madness, baby. And that's, it's the most wonderful time of year. Think about it, fellas. We went last year with no March Madness, none whatsoever. But guess what? We back now. We back. And Virginia not back neither. They got bounced in the first round as well, too. So,
yeah.
So the last
defending champion.
the last 3 tournaments for Virginia, bounced in the first round, national champion, bounced in the first round.
Yeah.
They go from one extreme to the other. They'll win it again.
Might want to take them in 2022, baby. Early favorite.
Yeah, you just might. If that's the pattern, bounce out the first round, win it all, and then the asterisk abbreviated year, and they get bounced again. Like, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So, fellas, this tournament's going good. I thought my brackets were busted, but they weren't. I'm glad they weren't busted because I'm over here like, I do these brackets and I'll never win nothing. But from the looks of it, it's been holding pretty strong. So Michigan, yes, I know these folks in Ohio gonna give me hell, but Michigan, let's hey, that's why I picked to win. So let's make this happen. All right, let's make this happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a new segment on this here Sports Bros podcast, and we're going to let Scottie D tell us what it's all about. From the mind of the money man, Scottie D, what you got for us?
All right, we're going to do this. We'll do this every once in a while from time to time. We're going to call this segment I Call BS. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give these guys 4 different statements regarding the March Madness NCAA tournament, and one of those statements is going to be BS. 3 of these are going to be actual facts, and I'm going to let you guys decide which one you think BS is. So here we are. Statement number one. Number 1, in 2013, the first number 15 seed in tournament history advanced to the Sweet 16. That team was Florida Gulf Coast. That's number 1. Number 2, in 2011, Butler defeated the only first 4 team to ever advance to the Final Four. That team was Gonzaga. Number 3, and I'll repeat these again for you so don't feel like you're under pressure to memorize them. Number 3, in 1976, that was the last time a team went undefeated and won the national championship. That team was the Indiana Hoosiers, 1976. And number 4, the team who has earned the most NCAA tournament appearances without going to the Final Four in the tournament was in the tournament again this year, and that team is BYU. Let me repeat these for you again here. In 2013, the first 15 seed in tournament history made the Sweet 16. That was Florida Gulf Coast University. True or untrue? Number 2, in 2011, Butler defeated the only first 4 team to ever advance to the Final Four. That team was Gonzaga. Number 3, in 1976, that was the last time a team went undefeated and won the national championship. That team was Indiana. And number 4, the team who has earned the most NCAA tournament appearances with 30 without reaching a Final Four was also in the tournament again this year, and that team is BYU. Which one of those do you call BS on there, guys?
I can't imagine Gonzaga in their first 4. Like, I know that I just can't. They've been Cinderella for a while. Now they're far from Cinderella now. But you said 2000. I call BS. I call BS on Gonzaga. I call BS.
Yeah, I call BS on that one too, because Gonzaga has been very good for a very long time, and the term Gonzaga and playing game is like oil and water, don't mix. So that's BS.
In 2011, Butler defeated the only first 4 team to ever advance to the Final Four. That team was VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Butler was an 8 seed, and the highest seed I think was Kentucky that year, and they were a 4 seed. So 1, 2, and 3 were out that year. VCU had a heck of a run. If you remember, that was that put them on the map. That was an exciting run they had. That started from the first 4 to the Final Four.
Yep, and part of that helped. What's his name? Shaka Smart.
Yeah.
That's
Shaka's team that eventually, I think he stayed there another year or 2 before taking the job at Texas, but that was what put them on the map. That was a heck of a run. But yeah, Florida Gulf Coast went to the Sweet 16 as a 15 seed. That was in 2013. I think they beat Georgetown in one of those first two rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Indiana, the last undefeated team, and Gonzaga trying to break that streak this year. So that was kind of the easy one to rule out. And then BYU, never been to the Final Four. 30 appearances, never been to the Final Four. Good job, guys. I'm impressed. For our first segment, you guys called BS on the correct one.
Yes.
Roses really smell like boo. Outcast, please don't sue us. If anything, we owe you for the memories that you brought upon us. And that was the first ever installment edition of
I call BS.
I call BS. But you know what, fellas? You know what we're not going to call BS on?
What is that? What is that?
I'm glad you asked. We're not going to call BS on our favorite segment of the show, the choice of the voices, because we love it. This is what we do, 101 episodes in. So without any further ado, hey, yo, button, hit it.
Nice.